जनता के विचारों को समझा, जनता की आवश्यकताओं को समझा और एक नई शिक्षा नीति बनाई गई। और उसे भी ऐसा नहीं कि अनिवार्य रूप से हम लागू कर देंगे और लागू कर देंगे सब कुछ आमूलचूल परिवर्तन हो जाएगा, ऐसा संभव नहीं है। इसलिए इसके लिए पूरा समय इत्मीनान से लिया गया। इतना बड़ा देश अचानक सुबह उठते ही परिवर्तन के डगर पर नहीं चल सकता है, इसके लिए समय चाहिए। और इसके लिए लक्ष्य रखा गया वर्ष 2040 तक नई शिक्षा नीति पूरी तरह से लागू हो जाए। जब नई चीजें आती हैं, नया कुछ आता है, भले ही हमारे समाज और देश के लिए हितकारी हो, हर व्यक्ति के लिए उन्नति का रास्ता खोलता हो, लेकिन आम आदमी के मन में संशय होता है। आम आदमी उसे आसानी से स्वीकार नहीं कर पाता, एक जड़ता होती है, उस जड़ता से बाहर निकलना होता है। ये जड़ता व्यक्ति के स्तर पर, समूह के स्तर पर, प्रांत के स्तर पर और पूरे देश के स्तर पर होती है। देश और राज्य के बीच कैसे संबंध है, जिन प्रांतों में एक ही सरकार है जो केंद्र की सरकार है, ऐसी नीति को लागू करना आसान है। नहीं तो राज्य सरकारों की अपनी मान्यताएं होती हैं, अपनी सोच होती है, अपनी प्राथमिकताएं होती हैं, उनके अनुसार वो चीजों को लेकर आगे बढ़ते हैं। अपनी विचारधारा होती है, उन्हें लगता है कि हमारी विचारधारा में ये फिट नहीं बैठता है, इसलिए हम इसके बगल का कोई रास्ता निकालना चाहते हैं। लेकिन सब मिल बैठकर हम चिंतन करें कि हमारा रास्ता क्या होना चाहिए, जिससे देश का संपूर्ण हित हो सके। तो नई शिक्षा नीति में जो सबसे उभर कर बात आई है वो ये है कि राष्ट्रीयता, हमारी संस्कृति को प्राथमिकता दी जाए। हमारे बीच जो रोजगार के अवसर हैं, जो पारंपरिक साधन हैं, जो हमारी जमीन से जुड़े हुए हैं, ऐसे संसाधनों को आगे बढ़ाया जाए। ऐसे रोजगार हैं जो हमारे प्राचीन काल से चले आ रहे हैं, हमारी पृष्ठभूमि में है, उनको अवसर दिया जाए। मसलन एक कुम्हार का काम होता है, कुम्हार के काम को हमने अनदेखा किया, हमने उसकी जगह प्लास्टिक के पात्र बनाने शुरू किए। बना तो लिया, हमने दूर तक नहीं देखा है कि वो प्लास्टिक हमारे जीवन को कितना अपघात पहुंचा रहा है। आज पूरा विश्व चिल्ला रहा है कि हमें प्लास्टिक से बचना है, ऐसे कप, ऐसे तत्वों से अपनी बचाव करना है। तो मित्रों, उसका विकल्प क्या है? जब तक हम ऑल्टरनेटिव नहीं लाएंगे तब तक हम कुछ कर नहीं पाएंगे। इसलिए उन संसाधनों के प्रति भी हम गंभीर चिंतन करें, सब मिल बैठकर विचार करें कि वो जो बहुत वर्षों से हमारे समाज के लिए उपयोगी तत्व थे, उनका उपयोग हम फिर से कर सकते हैं कि नहीं। अगर कर सकते हैं तो अपने शिक्षा के साथ जोड़ें। शिक्षा की देखिए, एक ऐसी पारंपरिक शिक्षा हमारे देश में थी, ग्रेजुएट हो गए, हमें नौकरी चाहिए। आप क्या कर सकते हैं? मैंने तो साहब संस्कृत में अध्ययन किया है, लेकिन संस्कृत में अध्ययन करने के पश्चात आप किस टेक्नोलॉजी में आगे बढ़ेंगे? तो ये एक समस्या है। तो एजुकेशन को स्किल के साथ जोड़ने की बात होनी चाहिए, और स्किल के साथ जोड़कर जो नई शिक्षा नीति, सबके हाथ में रोजगार, सबके हाथ में काम, हर घर के हर सदस्य की थाली में रोटी पहुंचे, इन विषयों पर विचार करने के लिए, चिंतन करने के लिए, मंथन करने के लिए हमने आप सभी को आमंत्रित किया है। आज के इस अवसर पर हम चाहते हैं कि इस पर एक गंभीर विचार हो, और नवभारत इस दिशा में हमेशा प्रयत्नशील रहा है। नवभारत इस चिंतन, इस विचार को ऐसा नहीं कि केंद्र स्तर पर राज्य को सौंप देगा और राज्य में परिवर्तन आ जाएगा। ये एक डॉक्यूमेंटेशन होता है, एक संदेश जाता है पूरे राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर, बल्कि हम तो कहें अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर। आप सभी के महत्वपूर्ण विचार, आपके जीवन का जो शोध है, जो रिसर्च है, आज यहाँ इस मंच पर आए और हम इसे पूरे देश तक पहुंचाने की भूमिका निभाएंगे। नवभारत ऐसा ही करता आ रहा है। मित्रों, पेस आईआईटी मेडिकल संस्थान का एक एवी है, मैं पहले ये प्रस्तुत करना चाहता हूँ। उसके बाद जैसी हमारी परंपरा है, दीप प्रज्वलित करके अपने विद्वान अतिथियों को मंच पर आमंत्रित करेंगे। पहले मैं ये अपने सिस्टम से निवेदन करूँगा कि पेस आईआईटी मेडिकल संस्थान का एवी प्रस्तुत करें। भारत ग्रुप के ग्रुप प्रेसिडेंट श्री ए श्रीनिवास राव जी को मंच पर आमंत्रित करते हैं, आए और अपने सभी अतिथियों का हम स्वागत करेंगे। मैं परिचय के साथ आमंत्रित करना चाहता हूं, ताकि एक व्यक्ति जब भी आए उसके बारे में आप जानते हैं लेकिन और जान लें। प्रसिद्ध शिक्षाविद और समाजसेवी श्री प्रवीण जी त्यागी को मंच पर आमंत्रित करते हैं। आप देश की प्रमुख इंजीनियरिंग एंड मेडिकल कोचिंग संस्थान पेस आईआईटी एंड मेडिकल के मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर और एडल्स फंड टेक्नोलॉजीज के सीईओ एवं को फाउंडर हैं। श्री त्यागी जी के कुशल नेतृत्व में पेस आईआईटी एंड मेडिकल ने पिछले 24 वर्षों में लाखों विद्यार्थियों की प्रतिभा को निखार कर देश के लिए श्रेष्ठ इंजीनियर और डॉक्टर तैयार किए हैं। पेस आईआईटी के पूर्व प्रतिभावान छात्रों में ट्विटर के सीईओ पराग अग्रवाल और फेसबुक के रिसर्च साइंटिस्ट हर्ष पारिक जैसी हस्तियां शामिल हैं। हमें प्रसन्नता हो रही है आपके मंच पर आने पर। अब हम सिंघानिया ग्रुप ऑफ स्कूल्स के निदेशक और डीन डॉक्टर रेवती श्रीनिवासन जी को मंच पर आमंत्रित करते हैं। अनेक प्रतिष्ठित और राष्ट्रीय और अंतर्राष्ट्रीय पुरस्कारों से सम्मानित डॉक्टर रेवती जी शिक्षा जगत की जानी मानी हस्ती हैं। आपकी विजनरी लीडरशिप में सिंघानिया ग्रुप के 8 स्कूल ठाणे और अन्य शहरों में लगातार टॉप रैंक पर हैं और 16,000 से अधिक विद्यार्थियों को विश्व स्तरीय शिक्षा प्रदान करते हुए उनका भविष्य आप संवार रहे हैं। अब हम डॉक्टर निवेदिता श्रेयांश को मंच पर आमंत्रित करते हैं। डॉक्टर निवेदिता जी पिल्लई ग्रुप द्वारा संचालित महात्मा एजुकेशन सोसाइटी की पब्लिक रिलेशन एंड कॉर्पोरेट कम्युनिकेशन डायरेक्टर हैं। आपने पूरे देश में विभिन्न हार्टफुलनेस मेडिटेशन और वेलनेस कार्यक्रमों के माध्यम से 1 लाख से अधिक युवाओं और कॉर्पोरेट को बिल्कुल मुफ्त में प्रशिक्षित किया है। अब हम डॉक्टर कविता लगाते जी को मंच पर आमंत्रित करते हैं। डॉक्टर कविता लगाते। डॉक्टर कविता जी देश के प्रतिष्ठित प्रबंधन शिक्षा संस्थान जमनालाल बजाज इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ मैनेजमेंट स्टडीज में डायरेक्टर हैं। अब हम डॉक्टर स्वदेश प्रकाश जी को मंच पर आमंत्रित कर रहे हैं। डॉक्टर प्रकाश जी मत्स्य पालन और कृषि क्षेत्र की प्रमुख शिक्षा संस्थान ICAR सेंट्रल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ फिशरीज एजुकेशन के प्रिंसिपल साइंटिस्ट और डीन हैं। डॉक्टर स्वदेश प्रकाश जी के नेतृत्व में ICAR सेंट्रल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ फिशरीज एजुकेशन में मत्स्य पालन और कृषि के क्षेत्र में कामयाबी के अनेक कीर्तिमान स्थापित किए हैं। ये भारत की पहली फिशरीज यूनिवर्सिटी है। इसके पश्चात प्रसिद्ध भारतीय क्रिकेटर और इंटरनेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ स्पोर्ट्स मैनेजमेंट के संस्थापक निदेशक श्री नीलेश कुलकर्णी जी को हम मंच पर आमंत्रित कर रहे हैं। श्री नीलेश कुलकर्णी जी ऐसे प्रथम इंडियन बॉलर हैं जिन्होंने अपने पहले टेस्ट में अपनी पहली ही बॉल पर बोल्ड कर विकेट लेने का रिकॉर्ड बनाया। अद्भुत। करियर के बाद श्री कुलकर्णी जी ने मुंबई में इंटरनेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ स्पोर्ट्स मैनेजमेंट की स्थापना की, जो भारत का पहला खेल प्रबंधन शिक्षा संस्थान है। संस्थान विश्व स्तरीय उच्च शिक्षा प्रदान करते हुए खेल क्षेत्र के विशेषज्ञ तैयार कर रहा है। मोटिवेशनल स्पीकर श्री विवेक शेट्टी जी को हम मंच पर आमंत्रित करते हैं, जिनने सुनना अपने आप में एक अनोखा, विलक्षण और अद्भुत अनुभव है। आप पब्लिक रिलेशंस और इवेंट मैनेजमेंट फर्म इंडस कम्युनिकेशंस के प्रबंध निदेशक हैं तथा एक विख्यात मेंटल हेल्थ मैनेजमेंट एक्सपर्ट और लाइफ कोच भी हैं। आज 3000 से अधिक स्टूडेंट्स, प्रोफेशनल्स और सेलिब्रिटीज श्री विवेक शेट्टी जी से ट्रेनिंग ले रहे हैं। इसके पश्चात डॉक्टर अनिल गर्ग जी को हम मंच पर आमंत्रित कर रहे हैं। डॉक्टर अनिल गर्ग एक अंतर्राष्ट्रीय प्रेरक वक्ता हैं, कॉर्पोरेट कोच और काउंसलर भी हैं। आपको कॉर्पोरेट जगत में सेल्स गुरु के नाम से जाना जाता है। आपने अनेक घाटे में चल रही इकाइयों को लाभ में बदला है। आप आर्ट ऑफ लिविंग के फैकल्टी और एपेक्स मेंबर हैं। गुरुजी श्री श्री रविशंकर जी से 25 वर्षों से जुड़े हुए हैं और हमारे नवभारत से भी आप जुड़े हुए हैं और हमारे 25 वर्षों से हमारे नवभारत से आपका निरंतर संपर्क है। हमारे आयोजनों में जब भी आपसे हम निवेदन करते हैं आएं और अपनी भूमिका निभाएं, आप अवश्य आते हैं। मंच पर आसीन विद्वान अतिथियों से मैं और विदुषी अतिथियों से निवेदन करता हूं कि आज के आयोजन मन के आकाश में, शिक्षा जगत के आकाश में कोई अंधेरा न हो। ये दीपक उस प्रकाश का संकेत है, उस प्रकाश का प्रतीक है कि हम शिक्षा जगत में आलोक फैलाना चाहते हैं, शिक्षा जगत को आलोकित करना चाहते हैं कि हर व्यक्ति भारतवर्ष का जिसके मन में कभी अंधेरा व्याप्त होता है वो प्रकाश में हो, उसे ज्ञान का प्रकाश मिले। अतिथियों से
बोलो भाई। हाँ भाई। मतलब समझा नहीं क्या, इन कितना करूँ, कितना वही कर रहा जितना नहीं, इतना बड़ी कंपनी नहीं दोस्त। कौन सी कंपनी? अरे यार मेरे को, मैं फ़ोन करता हूँ, अपने इवेंट में फ्री पे फ़ोन करता हूँ। ठीक है,
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद डॉक्टर हेमंत कुलकर्णी जी, आपने मंच का सम्मान करने की एक महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाई है। आज जिन्होंने शिक्षा जगत में बहुत महत्वपूर्ण योगदान किया है, इसके पश्चात हम उन्हें सम्मानित और पुरस्कृत भी करेंगे। लेकिन ये पहला चर्चा सत्र हम जिसका आयोजन कर रहे हैं, द न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी इम्पैक्ट एंड एलिमेंट्री एजुकेशन ऑफ हायर एजुकेशन, इस विषय पर चर्चा हो। मैं चाहता हूँ हमारे साथ विद्वान मॉडरेटर डॉक्टर अनिल गर्ग जी हैं, अच्छे प्रश्न पूछते हैं, कभी उलझा देते हैं और कभी सुलझा भी देते हैं, लेकिन मंच ऐसे विद्वानों का है, वो उलझ नहीं सकते कि उनका गहरा अनुभव है, अपना एक रिसर्च है और अपने क्षेत्र में बहुत गहरी पकड़ है। क्योंकि कई वर्षों से मैं देखता हूँ मंच पर जो विद्वान आते हैं, इतनी जानकारी, रेशे रेशे की जानकारी। पूरी एजुकेशन पॉलिसी जिस दिन प्रस्तुत की गई थी दूरदर्शन पर, मैंने पूरा देखा, पूरा अध्ययन किया, बाद में बहुत पढ़ा भी। तो मैं देखता हूँ कि मुझे कहीं जानकारी नहीं होती है, लेकिन मंच के विद्वानों को एक एक बारीक ये क्या है और इसका इम्पैक्ट क्या होगा सोसाइटी पर, वहाँ तक का अनुभव आज हम यहाँ मंच से साझा करने जा रहे हैं। मैं चाहता हूँ एक बार तालियों से पूरे मंच का अभिनंदन करते हुए आरंभ करें। डॉक्टर अनिल गर्ग।
Good morning to everyone. Good morning. So on behalf of Navbharat, I welcome all distinguished guests on the dais and all ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you in the 6th edition of Navbharat Education Award. You know, Navbharat is one of the leading newspapers, not only in Maharashtra, but in Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and many more states. And Navbharat newspaper is known for reality, nothing else. And it's my privilege and honor to have an association with such a wonderful group for last 25 years. And they have been giving me all the time this opportunity to moderate sessions. And as Anandji said, but today I'm feeling a little nervous because we are on the stage today, all stalwarts of education industry are there, and therefore little nervousness is there. So I traveled with Revati Madam today, and I tried to, suffice some of it. Okay, so to start with, the topic for today is that the new education policy. Our Prime Minister Modi ji is dreaming for a new India, right? And whatever initiative he is taking in that direction only. The direction to bring a new India for all of us. And this new education policy is also a part of Modi's dream, right? Now I would like to start with one common question from all the panelists. I was reading it that in an NSSO survey, around 3.22 crore children are dropping every year. 3.22 crore children dropping every year. They are taking admissions, but they are dropping out. So this is a major concern for not only for all of us, but for the government also. And keeping those things in mind, this new education policy draft has been prepared and now it's on roll. So I would like to ask first question from all of you, the common question, that there was a new education policy came in the year 1986, which was amended in 1992. Now this 2020, this policy has come. So how do you perceive how this policy is different from previous policy? This is the simple question, and I think your answers will benefit our readers. So starting from Tyagi ji, please.
I think this country needed this shift which this policy is about to bring. We have, the biggest asset that we have is our population, and if we skill that population, train that properly, that's going to change the game across the globe. I believe that this is just the theoretical step, like presenting the policy and bringing it and celebrating it, but there is a long way that we will have to take to implement it in its truest sense, and definitely a positive and a welcome step for sure for this nation.
I look at NEP as not a policy, but as a guideline for all schools, so that we raise and elevate the level of education. So is education all that we are looking at? I think no. We are looking at learning at every stage. And I think this policy will be fruitful only if we all implement it with its truest essence. For the implementation, we need a lot of training, and everyone from the ground level to the topmost person in the organization needs to be trained. Let's look at every school as a laboratory where research is done. So we need to take that up in its whole spirit, heart, mind and the head, everything together, so that we implement it as a whole and ensure many of the things that you may be doing in school, we need to document it and put them all together. It gives you a holistic view of the whole process of learning, and it also gives you a holistic view from what it is in school education to higher education to maybe sports education and any professional course. So that holistic view comes through this policy. Let's adapt and adopt. That's the way forward.
This week we are celebrating the implementation of National Education Policy. In the last week of July 2020, it was initiated. So this week we are actually celebrating it as the week of National Education Policy. And lot of changes are there which were desired by the society, desired by students as well as the teachers and educators. All along we have been talking about the gross enrollment ratio. All along we had been talking about the employability of the students. I think the policy has an answer. By multi-faculty introduction, multiple exits, multiple entry. I think this is going to help not only underprivileged, but also those who are very bright, and we can give them challenges by creating environment which will help them get their dreams and objectives in life and in career goals. I think a lot of things are there. As rightly said, this is just a documentation or just guidelines. How to implement it remains answered or unanswered, that we will have to take as a society. I am sure in next few years, as the guidelines are showing, the overall development of the students, not only at the primary, secondary level, but also at the higher education level is going to be there. When this policy I read, I understand and I remember that we used to talk about Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak in his graduation had Sanskrit and mathematics. When all of us we did our graduation, these choices were not available. But now it is going to be available, and I think that is the beauty of this policy, and I am looking forward to actually when we are starting this in 23-24 in University of Mumbai, the impact and also the motivation that we will be getting. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Dr. Suresh Prakash.
Good morning to all. As a new education policy, it is a quality education development policy, and it is as per policy is always having a guideline, so this is also a guidelines. So this will create a multidisciplinary personality with higher quality from pre-education to the higher education. As we know, now in higher education enrollment, as far as the data available in 2018, it was 26.3%. Now it will a target, it should reach at least minimum 50% 2030. And it will increase, it will include both industry as well as the NGO. And the university system is have minimum of 3,000 students. So which will create infrastructure and all other facilities which can create multidisciplinary students. We can change our career and growth at what time we want, feel it is a good and because in the coming days, in the next decades, India will be the largest youth population which require skill development, employment oriented policy. So this policy certainly will give better opportunities to the youths from pre-education to the higher education and give quality employment as well as quality skill development.
Thank you, Dr. Nilesh ji, please.
Good morning. Change is the only constant. With this new education policy, we should welcome the new change because it's a development agenda, it's a growth agenda, it's a positive impact agenda to the future of our country, which is youth. According to me, this offers, like everyone said, multiple entry exit, but more importantly, 50% weightage is given for practicals, which is immensely important for the field of multidisciplinary option which are offered with major, minor and electives. This offers an opportunity for a child to make a career in their liked and loved profession, and more importantly, it rolls out a path for them. Earlier days, skill and vocational had a very minority approach. It gives them a major positioning. Those who have skills, those who have ability other than partial academics can still be successful in their career by opting out an option of their choice-based programs to make a successful career. And I share that from a sports education background. India is a 1% sport playing country and a 64% sport loving country. You talk about science, management, commerce, arts, engineering, medicine, across all fields of education, sport has the power to be integral part of all these disciplines. And this NEP offers that as an opportunity for every child to make that choice from school education to higher education to PhD levels. I think this is a welcome. We just need to wait and accept and absorb the new changes to define the future of our country. Thank you.
Namaste to one and all. First and foremost, it's an absolute pleasure and privilege to be sharing this stage with this distinguished panel. So I would like to congratulate each one of you for the fantastic work that you're doing in your respective fields. Secondly, the Navbharat Group is doing such a fantastic job for so many years, and I have had the absolute pleasure of being associated with them for almost 2 decades in all sorts of events on all sorts of platforms. So big congratulations to the Navbharat team and the management for organizing panel discussions like this, for organizing events like this, which stimulate thought, which encourage interaction and create a platform for change. Picking the thread from where you left off, my dear friend, 3.2 crore children, you said, are dropping out of the system on an average every year. I'll take it one step further and tell you this. Children are mainly walking to schools and colleges and running back home. Why? I address senior management in large corporate groups as a trainer. You'd be surprised by one of the fundamental things that I've observed there. 95 to 99% of the workforce, maybe from the CEO to the office boy, are looking forward to the weekend. Monday is miserable. Why? What is missing? Let me give you the context of the age and era in which we are living. 80% of the conditions that human beings are suffering from today are psychosomatic in nature. Disease produced by the mind for the body. Where are mind management courses? In the last 3,000 years, human beings have fought 4,500 wars. Lessons learned, 0. Even today, the so-called advanced nations, which are economically very high up there, are largely in 2 stages. Either preparing for war or at war. Preparing for war is, called Cold War, and when you're at war, it is hot war, obviously. More money is being spent in taking care of the hair than the head. That is the age and era we are living in. One strand of hair cannot go here and there. You have to be picture perfect. You have to be Instagram perfect. But if you're wacky on the top, in your head, in your mind, it's okay. Do a random survey anywhere with the most qualified audience, with the largest number of degrees in the world, and you'd be surprised. One fundamental question may largely be unanswered. What is that question? That question is, what is the difference between brain and mind? Every decision that we take in our life today and henceforth, and even in the past, 2 factors are involved, mind and energy. Where are mind management courses? Where are energy management courses? I would like to urge this distinguished panel and this distinguished speakers here, please introduce this as part of curriculum and syllabus. The new education policy is definitely a step forward, but a lot is lacking. Vision is missing, so we are empowering children with skill sets, we are empowering them with naked ambition, but almost little or 0 vision. So with that, I'll conclude my opening comments and I'll wait for round 2. Thank you so much. You're smiling, coming from the background that you come, from Sri Ravi Shankar ji. I think the last thing that should happen to you is being nervous.
Thank you so much. Thank
My
you. pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you, Vivek ji. Round of applause for him. And coming to Nivedita ji, Dr. Nivedita ji from Pillai Group of Institute.
I said, I think almost every point has been covered till the mic has come to me. So, being in the field of education, we are with so many students and youth gathered every day, and we see so many challenges what students face, like what Kulkarni ji said, like sports, bringing a program especially focusing on sports is so important. So we have so many students and youth who are very good in sports, who want to just play sports, and they're getting laurels for the colleges, they're getting laurels for the university. They're extremely well physically fit, and their passion lies in sports. So what happened to such students? What happened to such youth who want to do more and more in sports? So for them, if they start missing the lectures and they go on playing on the ground and they miss the lectures, they get blacklisted, sometimes. Of course, the management supports, the management provides as much as support they can. But at some point of time, you have to say, boss, you have to stop it. You also have to attend classes, right? So how are you going to handle this trouble? This is what I think new NEP will help those students who are passionate about, say, cultural activities, say sports, say they want to learn something in Ayurveda, something in holistic learning, something in meditation, something in wellness. They can definitely 1 year credit course they can pick up. That is the advantage what this new NEP gives. And if somebody wants to just do sports or cultural activity, they can do and use maximum time, and they can develop their passion, and I think they can do very well in life, because if they are mentally happy, if they are emotionally happy, if their passion is satisfied, I think they will do very well in education and studies also. Automatically their scorecard will improve because they are happy emotionally. So I think this new NEP is definitely a very welcoming act. It was much needed. And if you ask about me, I was a student in the college when I was, and in the school I was very scared of maths. And hence, to get rid of maths, I did my literature. So I also loved psychology. But in literature, in Aage, I couldn't pursue that, because maths avoid karna hai, literature chahiye. So there was so much of confusion in mind. At the same time, my son, who did his 10th and then he wanted to do his NIT. But then at the same time, one school said you can't do maths. You can only take admission for biology because the seats were limited. So all these confusions what parents have in the mind, there's so much of stress while taking admission for the kids. I think it will make situation little normal and little relaxed for the parents and students, because when they know that in second, third year they can also opt for psychology, they can also opt for sports, and that 1 year will also be considered as a credit course for the student. That 1 year will also be useful for that student. So this is a very happy and welcoming policy, and of course the biggest challenge is how are we going to implement it? How the schools and colleges are going to take steps to implement this, to make an awareness amongst the parents and the students, because the mentality of Indian parent is very typical. मेरे बेटे को medical ही करना है, मेरे बेटे को engineer ही बनना है, So how are we going to break through that typical stereotype thinking and implement this policy is the biggest challenge what I foresee coming it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nivedita. Round of applause for all of them. Thank you so much. As Anandji said just now, that I have been known as a sales guru in corporate world, and whenever I take programs on sales or even for senior management, I have a strong belief in learning, right? So whenever I take those programs, I always tell my senior management, see, the day you stop learning is the day you stop learning. So learning is lifetime. You cannot say, I know everything. No, it can never happen. There is always a room for improvement. So learning is essential in life. So my second common question to all of you, after that I will go for individual questions, to all of you is that, how do you perceive, will this policy will bring transformation in learning process? Or it is just an addition or a cosmetic changes in the previous policy? Is there any real, just now Dr. Nivedita was also pointing out, the stereotype thinking of our system, our country. Will it really make some difference in learning process, or it will remain the same? What is the perception? Starting from again, Tyagi ji.
अभी रेवती मैम से बात कर रहा था, पूछ रहा था आपको कितने साल हो गए स्कूल में. She was telling me 27 years. And I have known her school also, the top performers from her school have brought laurels to the country in terms of Olympiad medals and all. तो और मैंने भी अपनी पूरी ज़िंदगी वो एक दो लाइनें मैंने मॉडिफाई की हैं एक शेर की कि उम्रे दराज मांग कर लाए थे 4 दिन तो पढ़ने में कट गए तो पढ़ाने में। तो जब आदमी एक फील्ड में इतना टाइम गुजार लेता है तो उसे बहुत कुछ समझ में आता है। और अभी आपने जो पूछा, बचपन में गांव में जब मैं छोटा सा था तो गरीबी हटाओ अभियान शुरू किया था इंदिरा गांधी जी ने, और मैं बड़ा खुश होता था सुन के कि बस अब गरीबी खत्म हो जाएगी थोड़े दिनों में, सरकार ने डिसाइड कर लिया तो वही जानी चाहिए। और इंदिरा गांधी जी उस टाइम पे मोदी जी की तरह ही पर्सनैलिटी थी। सो डेफिनेटली एक सोच अच्छी इस देश के सामने रख दी गई है, इसमें कोई शक नहीं है। बट एट द सेम टाइम इट is the responsibility of not only Modi ji but all of us to ensure कि ये जो बच्चा है जो पढ़ने जा रहा है स्कूल, every thought process is child centric। बस यहाँ पे सारा सॉल्यूशन है। ये मैंने सीखा है अपने करियर में कि अगर आप बच्चे की ज़रूरत को समझ सकते हैं, अगर आप हर पॉलिसी उसके हिसाब, अभी रिसेंटली हमारे कॉलेजेस में बच्चों के एडमिट कार्ड कलेक्ट करने थे, नोटिस बोर्ड पे लगाया गया कि ऑल ऑफ यू मस्ट सबमिट इट बाय दिस डेट, नीचे लिखा था बाय ऑर्डर। मैंने सारे प्रिंसिपल्स की मीटिंग बुलाई अपने जूनियर साइंस कॉलेजेस की, और मैंने एक ही चीज उन्हें कही कि ये बाय ऑर्डर जो अथॉरिटेटिव लैंग्वेज है, ये मैंने कभी इमेजिन ही नहीं की थी व्हाइल स्टार्टिंग माय जूनियर साइंस कॉलेजेस। अभी एक जमाना था कि जब ओनर ऑफ द स्कूल, प्रिंसिपल ऑफ द स्कूल, टीचर्स और बॉटम ऑफ द पिरामिड में बच्चा, विद रेवती मैम एज प्रिंसिपल, इफ यू सी हर पर्सनैलिटी, हर हम्बलनेस, वो सब उल्टा हो गया है। नाउ द चाइल्ड इज द फोकस। एंड ये जो एजुकेशन पॉलिसी निकल के आई है, इसमें जो फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी दी गई है बच्चों को चूज करने की कोर्सेज, ये सब वहीं से ओरिजिनेट हुआ। बच्चों की जरूरतें थी जिसको आपने समझ के, और आपको इतने साल लगे ये समझने।
राइट।
सो द मोमेंट दिस होल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी लाइज ऑन ऑल ऑफ अस, दैट इज वन। एंड सेकेंड इज, जैसे ही ये बात हर इंसान को समझ में आने लगेगी कि बच्चे की जरूरतों को समझना है, और फिर और ये तंत्र, HRD ministry, minister, ये everyone is made and there for serving that child. If this attitude comes, then all these policies will be implemented properly, and that is when the new education policy will be actually making an impact. This is my thought.
Thank you, Mr. Praveen Tyagi. Yeah, Rati madam, please.
I think this policy is a vision. So it's a vision for what education should be like. And when vision has to become a mission, it has all players who have to get involved. So for that, the very first change that we need is a change of mindset. How do we think, and how do we perceive, and how do we implement this? The second is an action. Let's get into it and try it out. You cannot serve old wine in new bottles. That cannot happen, and it should not remain like that. So I think it's important for us to start thinking differently, implementing it, experience it, and then sort out issues that may come through it. For all of this, again, I emphasize on training, because when that happens, then I think we're all on the same platform. We have to take away this concept from educational space that I belong to the CBSE, or I am from an SSC, or I am from a CISKI background, or an IB background, or an IGCSE background. There's no background. The only background and space that we have is a space of education. And in that space of education, if there is sharing, like what is happening in this platform today, I think a lot of exchange of ideas and documentation of these ideas will get going and help us to change the pedagogy, because I think ultimately it's about pedagogy. And I have this one thing to say. There are many factors that are not in your control. The government policies, the government rules and regulations, the GRs that may come in, all of that, your parental views, they're not in your control. Forget about it, dump it. Just keep it aside. Don't bother yourself about it. But what you need to be bothered about is what are those 1001 things that are in your control. Your children are in your control, your pedagogy is in your control, your assessments are in your control. How do you change the mindset of your teachers and your faculty? They're all under our control. And I'm not talking about the control like Mr. Tyagi said, by order control. I'm talking about how we can implement, inspire and motivate. So if that happens, what we need for this is just one word that I use. Build a beautiful school culture. Build a beautiful culture of care, compassion, contentment, of well-being, of mindfulness, of learning. You build a culture of that, no one can shake it.
Great, thank you so much everybody. Yeah, Kavita madam, please.
I will just remind you two small stories that we all have heard. The story is the prisoner who is asked, what is your last wish? And he says that, please call my mother. And when the jailer calls the mother, he bites her ear and says that I was young. I was not knowing what is right and what is wrong. You should have told me that when I did my first crime. I think as an educator, we need to remember all this. Children are given freedom, children are given choices. Let us give them the understanding or wisdom, what is right to choose and what is not right to choose. So as an educator, as a society, we will have to build a culture which will tell the student, which will tell the child that this is what is right for you and how you can make the choices. The second short story which I want to recite here is a small boy or a person who was roaming on the seashore, and by accident his feet touches something and he bows down and sees what is that. So he gets a lamp, and this lamp as usual is a jadoo ka diya. And what to do with that? So he just touches that and a jinn comes out of it and he says that I am going to tell you one thing. You collect as many pebbles as you want, but tomorrow you will be happy and sad. And the jinn disappears. Now this person is puzzled. What is this? He is saying collect pebbles and tomorrow you will be sad and happy. But nonetheless, he collects as many as he can. And the sun sets and he couldn't do much. He goes back home, couldn't sleep the whole night. Tomorrow morning, what is going to happen? I will be sad and happy, sad and happy. The sun rises, he goes hurriedly and checks the bag where he has kept all these pebbles. The pebbles have turned into precious gems. He's so happy, I have so much wealth now, but becomes sad. I could have collected them more. I think as a teacher, it is my responsibility to give all types of pebbles to the student to choose from. It is their responsibility what they will choose. No teaching can be realized at the same time when it is taught. I think 1/4 of our learning comes through experience. 1/4 only is given by a teacher and the educational institution. 1/4 is responsibility of the society and the peer learning. The child has 1/4 in it. I think all these things ultimately gets into only one thing. We have to make the child future ready. What is required in the future, we have to sensitize him, we have to tell him that this is what. All the learning and teaching pedagogy or the processes will have to get molded, and for that, as a society, we will have to be very sensitive. Please remember, we are all in mass education. We are not teaching 10 students in the class. The class is made up of 150, sometimes 100 and 120. Such kind of challenge that we have. But how can we make it to the most? By giving them sensitivity towards issues, sensitivity towards them. Yesterday I read one very funny thing कि Google में खोजो, Facebook में खोजो, कहीं भी खोजो, but सच्ची खोज जो है ना वो अंदर है. I think we will have to make realization of that to the students, which will help themselves and the society at large. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kavita Ma'am. Yeah, Dr. Sir, please. What is new learning in education policy?
As per this, as you know, need is a mother of invention. So there was a lot of challenges and constraints. The policy which was developed in 1986. Certainly the phase has changed, the needs have changed, लोगों की आवश्यकताएं चेंज हुई. So ये पॉलिसी एक नई इन्वेंशन है उस फील्ड में. जैसे कि मैं आपको बताऊं कि अगर इस ओल्ड पॉलिसी में कुछ अगर if you gone in high school in agriculture and 12th in agriculture, certainly there was no scope to adopt continue in agriculture field. But in this new policy, if anybody is capable to change his fields, his career after 12th, after 10 plus 2, then he can go for engineering, some other fields which is suited for the skill development for the industry, for the society, for others. So this policy advises all round all development of the community, of the building of a new nation and building of new youths. And as you know, this policy certainly have a multidisciplinary, as my other colleagues have already told. There was a curriculum in sports, some other outdoor activities also, other except the classroom activities. Because outdoor activities is as much more important than the classroom activity. In classroom activity, we teaches to, but when they learn through the practical experiences, that is the outdoor activities, certainly that will remain throughout the life in his mind, what I have learned, and that have a practical value in the society also, and that create a holistic approach in development of the human personality. And certainly when the human personality will develop, build some ethical values, so that will certainly not only contribute to the nation, and it will contribute to the globe. And country will certainly be known for contributing to the growth for in the all aspects of the development. So certainly this policy is a new invention and give greater height to the nation and give greater height to the society in development of 360 to all the segments from pre-education to mid-education to the higher education. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Suresh. Yeah, Vinesh, please.
I'm going to take a slightly different approach to this thought. With your permission, if I may ask a couple of questions and you can just answer by raising hand. How many of you are on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter? Can you just please honest and raise your hands? That's substantial. How many of you are on LinkedIn, on a business networking site? Very few. How many of you are not on any of these platforms? Only one hand. You know why the change is needed then, right? This new education policy offers that change. If we are acceptable, susceptible to accepting and embracing these changes, then only you will find obstacles, you will find challenges, you will find modifications, you will have multiple threats to this. What does it bring? The sole objective is to bring that relevant change in the society. Earlier, when we were kids, the 86 policy allowed us to go through one channel. We followed that path. We embraced it, we adapted, we adjusted, and we made our careers. With this, the future is offering that we cannot stay away from these temptations. So we have to accept it, modify it, customize it by creating opportunities for future generation of India. Change is inevitable. We just have to accept it. We cannot refer that, oh, this is not happening, that is not happening. You bring that change. Let's take those steps, because the revolution can only happen through adversities. If you're pushed to the wall, pushed in the corner, if you come out as a winner, the success stories are created through that. With Honorable Prime Minister's vision of implementing this, I think it's a new change, it's a welcome change. One of the challenge I personally feel is the acceptability of many faction of people accepting this. Like my friend just now said, who loves Mondays? I love my Monday. I say that proudly in all my addresses because I look forward to, I hate my Sundays because I can't go to work. I love my job. Can we make our youth start loving what they are interested in? If we do that, we have brought in change. Madam was saying that, what changes? India, unfortunately, have not produced a single Olympian from university. The reason for it is more than 90% of the kids who actively engage in playing sport, and I'm relating it to sport now, they drop out of sport because the option is given to them is either or. It is not collect that both options and make a successful career. That's one of the fundamental changes. Can we bring that change into our practices, into our society, and into our cultural acceptance? It could be sport, it could be art, any stream that child is good at, he or she. If you encourage that as a practice, he or she has a chance to become number one in his or her liked fields. And these are the practices we need to adopt, accept, and welcome with open arms. I think this new education policy will definitely encourage teachers, practitioners, educationists, life coaches, everyone to encourage that, because failures are going to be there for us. And if we teach them how to handle failures and how to learn from it, the future is extremely bright for our country. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you so much, Nilesh. Round of applause for him. Over to Mr. Vivek. Yeah.
Since the time for storytelling has well and truly begun, and I've heard two beautiful stories, I'll tell you a very short humorous story which you can relate to everyday experience in schools and colleges. And like all stories, it begins with once upon a time, and be very sure they lived happily ever after. Yeah? So this particular story was about two troublesome students, two brothers. And both of them were extremely naughty. It was very difficult and quite a challenge for the teachers and everybody else in the school to manage these two boys. So finally, out of sheer frustration and looking for a solution, they go to a holy man whom they entrusted the task to convince these two boys to change their approach and their behavior in the process of education. So this holy man calls the elder brother inside first into his room. The younger brother is waiting outside. And while the elder brother was in his presence, he moves around the room with a firm walk, looking at him very seriously, trying to instill fear in this boy. And that boy was a little scared. Then he asks him a question. The question was, where is God? The boy was blank. No response. Again, as part of the theatrics, this holy man waits for another 20 seconds. And then pointing to his chest, he asks the boy again, where is God? And he shouts and screams. Now this guy is really scared and really worried. He runs out of the room to his younger brother. The younger brother asks him, what happened? Why did you run out? So he tells him, this man has lost his God and he thinks we have done it. This man has lost his God and he thinks we have robbed his God. So this is what happened to the holy man who tried to convince two naughty students to change their behavior and approach towards life. And I think this highlights the point made by both Mr. Tyagi as well as by Madam. Now, the word change has been used very freely, and it is often used very freely in all discussions. I would like to draw your attention to another word called transformation. And that is missing in the education policy. I would look forward to implementation of transformation in the near future. What do I mean when I use the word change? And what do I mean when I use the word transformation? Well, I'll give you a very simple example. Old leaves wear out, new leaves come, that is change. Old fruits get rotten, new fruits come, that is definitely change. But when you change the soil, there is a whole new crop. Where there is a bamboo tree, now there can be a mango tree. Where there is a mango tree, now there can be an apple tree. That is transformation. It's a whole new life. There is no residue of the past. So I would look at transformation more than change, point one. And now coming to the nitty-gritties, the brass tacks of transformation. The first transformation that has to happen is in curriculum and syllabus. Since all of you are distinguished educationists here today, I would like to draw your attention to some simple real-life examples. Body is a noun, that is what the education system tells us. In fact, if you Google as I am speaking, Google will tell you body is a noun. I am telling you, body is a verb. We have been socially conditioned and hypnotized to believe that body is a noun, and that is what I call is naive realism. Body, if you look at body closely, what you were 5 years ago has changed. What you will be 5 years from now will change for sure. In fact, if I take a powerful scientific instrument and look at you, what you were a few nanoseconds earlier and what you are now has changed. Something that is continuous, ceaseless activity and does not stop even for a nanosecond till you enter your grave, that is a process. How can it be a noun? It has to be a verb. And this was the point I made to get people from Google into my modules. This was one of the points, not the only point. The second point, all the equations that I learned when I was a kid in school and in college were in time and space. Today, not Vivek Shetty, not Baba Vivek Shetty, but Nobel laureates are telling you there is nothing called time and space. Time and space is an illusion created by the human mind. Time and space is an illusion created by the human mind. Please do your research. I do not have ample time here to go further. The last point. Hans-Peter Dürr, German anthropologist Hans-Peter Dürr, who won every major scientific award in his lifetime, made a stellar revelation. What was that? He said, I have spent 55 years of my life researching on matter. I have spent 55 years of my life researching on matter only to find out there is nothing called matter. And this was said by Adi Shankaracharya 1,000 years ago. So Hans-Peter Dürr says, whenever I give a lecture on quantum mechanics and quantum physics, I feel I'm talking about Adi Shankaracharya. So in conclusion, all my suggestions are inspired by AI, not artificial intelligence, ancient India. My suggestions are coming from ancient India, that is a wisdom which we already had. But somewhere, after repeated invasions, cultural invasions, physical invasions, this knowledge, this wisdom got lost. Modi ji has taken a fantastic initiative for the International Yoga Day. And I'll tell you, I have a student in my module who's a gold medalist in yoga from a reputed university. I won't name the student, neither the university. But her personal life and professional life are largely in turmoil. And I made one point to her which changed her approach to life. And I think this is needed even in the education system. And that point is the following. I told her, yoga is not what you do on the mat for 30 minutes, 45 minutes or 1 hour every day. Okay? दिन में 30 मिनट या 1 घंटा आप मैट पे राम बन जाते हो, 23 घंटा 23 आवर्स आप शाम हो, है ना, तो शाम तो राम पे भारी पड़ जाएगा. सो एवरी ब्रेथ इज योगा, एवरी एक्शन इज योगा, every thought is yoga. Today, how are we conducting exams? 25th is the question paper on mathematics. Fantastic. 25th is the August is the question paper on mathematics. So the student knows he has to remember till 25th all the formulas. 26th, if he forgets, it's okay. It's okay. I want to ask all of you a question. When the COVID hit the world, did the COVID give us a timetable? Does life ever give you a timetable on anything? So please don't prepare students for exams, prepare them for life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Vijay. So over to Dr. Nivedita.
Again, I want to say everybody have covered all the points. The mic comes to me so that I can rest well. So I think all the panel members have put forward so many beautiful points. Only thing, Kulkarni, I would like to say that you said any universities were not able to produce the Olympians. But of course, we at Pillai College we were able to produce Ionika Paul, who is an Olympian, a rifle shooter, and Surya Kumar Yadav, who is a cricketer. He's our alumni, he's our student. So we at Pillai College have gone out of the way, you know, because NEP was not there. And NEP is still not there, it has not been implemented. We have gone out of our way to support sports, especially in football, in cricket, in rifle shooting. And we have seen how the students have actually performed at international level. So I think this NEP policy is much needed because we definitely have to come out of that curriculum, that syllabus, that timetable-based activity where the students, the teachers are put under pressure to complete the syllabus, which is not the overall personality development of a student. That is very important. So I think it is the need of the hour. And secondly, I just want to say one thing to all of you. Whether we talk of NEP policy or any policy, I only look at student that he should be a happy student. He should be emotionally happy. He should feel good when he's coming next day to college. He should feel good that yes, I want to go to college. I want to learn with my teachers. I want to be with my friends. Their emotional happiness is topmost important. That is the main problem. If you are able to handle that, if you are able to make a student happy, then automatically he will be a good learner. Automatically he will become a good citizen. You must know to train him to lead. Lead in a very simple way. Suppose he's sitting in a classroom, one boy is coughing. Giving him a water from his own water bottle is leading. Such simple examples of life can make leaders, you see. You don't need big theory, algorithms, formulas, but to be compassionate, to be kind, to know how to help, to know how to lead, how to support is what we need to create in the complete policy. If you can make environment which is happy, which is loving, which is peaceful, everything around us will be sorted. That student will himself become a symbol of peace and love, compassion and kindness. So once he becomes like that, he automatically becomes successful in life. What is success? How does success come? You see, if he is internally happy, he will be successful, and automatically we as a country, we as a nation, we as a world will become a place of love, peacefulness and success. That is what my mantra is. You see, that is what all the teachers and policy must emphasize on, right?
Great, Dr. Nivedita. Round of applause for all of them.
Can I just add one thought?
Yeah,
Can I just add what you said about 2 people played? I have 26 students who are representing our country.
Oh,
My
great.
question is not about that. I'm talking about a university defining a policy and a process
Yes.
to create Olympian. The
Absolutely.
objective is not about you, Pillai College
Yes,
or
yes.
ISM doing something.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to focus on the process and the policy which the other countries already have as a university to produce Olympians, produce scientists. As a policy is the question
Yes,
I parked
yes,
as a thought,
yes.
not as a
Yes.
individual thought.
Right.
Oh, fantastic. The way the knowledge is showering on us, we feel like, bathing in knowledge continuously. But there is always a constraint of time. So we have another 10 minutes to go. And I would like to ask 2 last questions to all of you. And I appreciate if you give an answer in 30 seconds only.
We should have put this timeline before it's too late.
Okay. So, I represented corporate world for 35 years, and there is always a mission and vision statement written always in the corporate world. You will find on the website mission, vision. And this new education policy is also a vision of our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. So what I believe is that vision without action is illusion. Vision without action is illusion. And vision with action is conviction. So if you have a vision, no action, nothing will happen. So this question lies on this only, starting from Nivedita Madam again. How much your institute is prepared for new education policy?
So I think as an institution, we are a 52-year-old institute, and we have been doing this lots of activities which are student-centric. For example, we have set up a laboratory, a library where students can pick up the lab equipments as a part of the library, and they can take it home to make a project on engineering. So it's a library where you only have books, but here we have a component library which helps the students to pick up the equipments, take home, work on the project, come back and give that component back in the library. So I think we are already prepared as a student-centric. We have lots of cultural activities, lots of sports which are happening. We have heartfulness meditation happening. We have yoga happening. So we have been doing this, and it is good if it comes in the form of a black and white paper format. We can go ahead and give 1 year only for the student to work on sports and cultural activities and various things. I think it will be a great support for us as I think for everybody, for every school. I think all of them who are sitting here, they are facing they must be already facing a lot of challenges when such activities happen. So this is very welcoming, and we are already geared for it, and we are doing it, so it will be very easy for us to get into the new system which is already existing in our campus.
So, Praveenji, you are representing PACE. So how much you have been connected with this institute?
गांव में खेती करता था, IIT पहुंच गया, मुंबई आ गया। एक सपना देखा था कि कभी 100 करोड़ होंगे तो एक कॉलेज खोलूंगा अपना, जिसमें हर चीज परफेक्ट होगी। 10 जूनियर साइंस कॉलेजेस हैं जिनकी कट ऑफ हाईएस्ट है। महाराष्ट्र बोर्ड की टॉपर जो थी लड़की यहीं का, वो पेस जूनियर साइंस कॉलेज से थी। और ये सब सिर्फ एक चीज से हुआ। कबीरदास जी का दोहा है कि पोथी पढ़ पढ़ जग हुआ, पंडित भया न कोय, 2.5 अक्षर प्रेम का पढ़े सो पंडित होए। आई यूज्ड टू लव माय चिल्ड्रन, एंड उसे आप टेक्निकल वे में चाइल्ड सेंट्रिक अप्रोच बोल दीजिए। एंड व्हेन यू डू एवरीथिंग राइट, तो आप हर वे में यू आर डिफाइनिंग थिंग्स। और एनईपी और नो एनईपी, फॉर मी, respecting the child, understanding his needs is a way of life, and that's it.
Very good, very good, very good. Vanti Madam, I know you have been instrumental in implementing this new education policy in all your schools. So we would like to know what are the maybe steps you have taken and how much you are prepared for.
So very early in life, I think as Singhania schools, we decided that education should be about wings to fly very high, yet roots that will keep them grounded. So if you see the school, you will find a lot of Indian ethos right from the kindergarten to all. But again, as I mentioned in my previous statement, it is all about building a culture in your school. What kind of culture would you want? And I think if we build the right culture of learning, care, compassion, you will understand that holistic education happens. So I don't need to dwell into every small thing. But I'd like to give one example or two examples to say how it's dealt with. There's an amount of risk that one takes. I have a student of my standard 12, Rudraksh Patil, who is now a probable for the Olympics. A student of standard 12 last year, 2022 batch. Could not write the board exam because he was going for the selections for the World Cup. And he came back to me saying that the board exams are here, so I don't think I will be able to go. So I'll give it a skip. The mother was very worried, the parents were very worried. They asked me for my answer. And my answer to them was, leave your 12th standard board exam, fly off. Go and pursue your dreams. And the boy did, won the gold. He is the youngest champion for the World Cup. And this boy came back and I told him, he said, no, but I don't want to lose my percentage because I am a fairly good student. He was. And I just told him, you don't worry about your academics, I am there. And then I appealed, went across to Delhi, sitting over there in front of the chairman of the council, sat with him and said, if we are talking about education being an all-round development with equal importance to academics and sports and culture, and we don't toe the line and follow that, I think we have failed in talking about what education is. And if that we come across very solidly, then we need to give him this concession. And you know what the council did? They waived off his 12th standard board exams. He got the percentage 75 for the exam that he attempted previously and for all the internal marks that he has been diligently attending. So that is what makes education truly what I was trying to tell you, what education should be. The second example is of a child, junior KG. The child entered the school, had some eye defect, a problem with the eyesight. He could only see 6 inches linear, which means he can't see the side of that side. We didn't have to tell the children to do everything. There's a culture in the school. And when you say culture, even in your family, in the evening, if aap diya jalate ho, so automatically, even if the mother's not there, somebody will light the diya in the house because that's a culture. It is unsaid, unwritten, unspoken. And it is the same in the school. And that's why I emphasized on building of the culture. So all the children, they're all junior KG, all of 4 years, but they would hold the paper for him like this. They would give one of the children would hold the tiffin box like this so that he could eat with his spoon because he can't see, right? When they go by school bus, they would all tag him along. His bag was packed by the rest of the class and he went. 3 years they have done it. In standard 1, the parent got an opportunity to go to US for treatment as well as for a job, and they were crying on the day that they had to leave. And so they told, since we have come to school, I will take my son. And you know what that boy told? I want to go back with my friends in the school bus. There's no fun going in your big car. And I think that's the beauty of what collaboration is, what respect for oneself and respecting others means. I think that's the culture we have all been talking about. Apart from what your academic stature can be, what is it that ultimately is the essence of learning, of building a culture? And that it is to be happy. So I would differ in my opinion when you said that children want to go back home and don't want to come back on Monday. How many of you love to get back to your workplaces on Monday morning? I definitely do, right? So I think that's something that, in fact, you ask the teachers, they will all say, Suna lagta hai without the children. They don't like to come to school when the children are not there. So when the children are there, we feel very, very happy. So I think that's what it is. We fill our minds with the hearts of all our children.
Great. Thank you so much, madam. So Kavita madam is representing Jamnalal Bajaj Institute as a dean. So madam, we would like to know from you how much you are prepared and requesting to take 30 seconds.
Yes, definitely. In fact, right now I am representing University of Mumbai as a Dean of Commerce and Management. we are getting ready. We have devised the curricula for undergraduate program as well as postgraduate program in verticals, which all of us we are talking. So the child is able to select his interesting topics, subjects as a major, minor, and there are many vocational and skill enhancement programs, courses that we are offering. And all these things which we are talking at culture, sports, music, and whatever hobby the student has is going to be creditized. Out of 22 hours in a week, almost in the first and second year, more than 10 credits are for their interests. So I think we are ready. We have a basket of courses that we have created for the selection, and I'm sure this is going to get a great enjoyment to the students and teachers. We are energizing teachers for changing the ways in which we had been teaching. So I think the challenge is there, but we are ready.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. Dr. Siddesh Prakash, representing ICR. So how much you are prepared, sir? In 30 seconds, if you can answer.
एक्चुअली में ये जो नई एजुकेशन पॉलिसी है सर्टेनली एक बहुत अच्छी पॉलिसी है जो कि जिसके अंदर जो प्रतिभा है उस प्रतिभा को स्टार्टिंग से ले करके प्री एजुकेशन से लेकर हायर एजुकेशन तक उसको कैसे निखारा जाए और लोकल लैंग्वेज से ले करके और राष्ट्रीय अपनी भाषा बाईलिंगुअल दोनों में ये उसको उस प्रतिभा को कैसे निकाला जाए ताकि जो प्रतिभा एक क्षेत्र में कंट्रीब्यूट कर सके अपनी स्किल से अपने नॉलेज से ज्ञान से वहाँ करे और राष्ट्र लेवल कर सके राष्ट्र पे अंतर्राष्ट्रीय लेवल पे तो ये पॉलिसी उस तरीके की है। सर्टेनली जब कोई नई चीज़ आती है तो उसको इम्प्लीमेंटेशन में चैलेंजेस जरूर होते हैं। कभी भी कोई नई चीज़ आती है तो उसको उस चैलेंजेस तो बहुत सारे हैं लेकिन ये पॉलिसी उस टाइप की पॉलिसी है कि जैसे हमारे यहाँ क्लासरूम अभी तक हम लोग ज़्यादातर फोकस करते थे कि क्लासरूम एजुकेशन और ज़्यादा देना ताकि वो क्रिटिकल एजुकेशन उनका जो फील्ड का जो एजुकेशन था वो कम था। तो हमारे पास सबसे बड़ा जो चैलेंजेस है वो तो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का है क्योंकि न्यू पॉलिसी में हमारा जो मिनिमम स्टैंडर्ड है वो 3000 स्टूडेंट्स रजिस्टर्ड मिनिमम है। तो 3000 स्टूडेंट्स के लिए जब हम लोग रजिस्टर्ड करेंगे तो सर्टेनली हमें उस हिसाब से इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलप करना पड़ेगा और ये एक मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी एजुकेशन पॉलिसी है जिसमें कि आपको बहुत सारे डिसिप्लिन्स को इंक्लूड करके और मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी फैकल्टी भी डेवलप करनी पड़ेगी। तो ये चैलेंज है और चैलेंज को हम लोग काफ़ी उससे ले रहे हैं स्लोली अभी इसको उस लाइन पे लाएंगे क्योंकि ये पॉलिसी उस टाइप की पॉलिसी है जैसे कि मैं बताऊं कि अर्जुन एक बहुत बड़े धनुर्धर थे और द्रोणाचार्य जी उनके गुरु जी थे और उन्होंने वो क्लासरूम एजुकेशन ली थी लेकिन जब वो बैटल फील्ड में उतरे तो उनकी सारी धनुर्विद्या उनकी वो सब रख दिए उन्होंने। लेकिन वो जो प्रैक्टिकल एजुकेशन लॉर्ड कृष्णा ने उनको दी उस समय पे तो ये एजुकेशन पॉलिसी उस टाइप की पॉलिसी है कि अर्जुन जैसे विद्वान तो क्लासरूम में डेवलप करेंगे लेकिन फील्ड में जाकर के उनको जो एजुकेशन जो प्रैक्टिकल एक्सपोजर चाहिए वो लॉर्ड कृष्णा जैसे गाइडर और वो चाहिए ताकि वो अपने फील्ड की विजय को अंतिम पड़ाव तक ले जा सके। तो ये पॉलिसी सर्टेनली और उसके लिए हम लोग प्रयासरत हैं और certainly it will contribute to the nation and give greater height to the nation in the global.
Great, Dr. Siddesh, thank you so much. Nilesh, I know that sport is in your DNA, right? So how much your institute is prepared to adopt anything? 30 seconds, please.
30 seconds, yes. We are largely prepared thanks to Mumbai University guidelines also. I think MAM is part of that committee where the implementation is a lot easier for institutions, challenging for faculties because to convince a faculty to change the approach is a bit of a challenge because to get them aligned with the expectation is a process. And I think one of the areas in which we are welcoming, I'll just give you one small different anecdote. When I introduced IISM, all my cricketing friends reached out to me, "यार तू पागल हो गया है?" बोला क्यों? अरे तू ऐसी जगह पे जा रहा है जहाँ पे कुछ एक्सिस्टेंस ही नहीं है, ना तुझे IPL मिला है जिसकी वजह से तूने पैसे कमाए, तो वो पैसे तू इधर लगा सकता है, तो तू पागल हो गया है क्या? Was the question which got to me. And after 13 years, I think I proved them wrong in the right direction. In this manner, the way this new education policy adaptability gets accepted is the challenge. We all have to accept it, embrace it, and apply it, because it's always easy to ask questions. It's always difficult to find answers. And if we can play a role in finding those answers to future of our country, I think we've done a good job in shaping and developing the future of our nation, who will bring, because majority of our students who go for overseas extra credit points for their admission overseas, if we start that as a practice for our society, I think we are, the vision of our Prime Minister is then not allowing these kids to go overseas, but study here, apply it here, and contribute to the growth of our country. I think that's a great vision and a mission statement to apply ourselves into that sinking in vision and mission statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Nilesh. Vivek Shetty, can I have answer in 30 seconds, please?
Yeah, even Maggie noodles takes 2 minutes. You are expecting me to cook up something in 30 seconds. It will be nothing short of a miracle. Let me assure you that. But that was on a lighter note. Before I begin my response, let me respond to Madam and my friend here sitting to my right. If you rewind the recording of this event, you would realize that I mentioned nearly 90% of the people in the corporate world. I didn't say 100%. I'm looking forward to the weekend. So you are among the notable exceptions, and the broad smile on your face says that loud and clear. I'm sure you're immensely passionate about everything you do, and there's no iota of doubt in my mind, at least, about the same. Yeah. Having said this, now I would like to draw the attention of the audience to one fundamental question, which I think is the answer to every other question about the education system that we have in our mind. And what is that fundamental question about life that I would like to draw your attention to? All you esteemed educationists, my humble request is, please explore this as part of curriculum and syllabus, and then you would notice what I would call is a transformation which I went into in the second part of my response this evening. If you look at the generation today, वो पुरानी गजल मुझे याद आती है, सीने में जलन आंखों में तूफान सा क्यों है, सीने में जलन आंखों में तूफान सा क्यों है, इस शहर में हर शख्स परेशान सा क्यों है. We have invested lakhs of rupees in our education, in our training to become restless. Okay? And investment in being restless is an investment in disease. Yeah? Whether it's a CEO or whether it is a highly established political dignitary, or it may be a sanitation worker, everybody is restless when they go to bed. It has got nothing to do with money, power and position. And that brings me to the fundamental question which I want as part of curriculum and syllabus. It needs to be explored, and my dear charming young friend, you've been the wonderful host this evening, Ravi Shankarji's entire course is focused on this fundamental question.
Agreed.
What is that question? That question is the following. I am learning nuclear physics. Who is the I? I am learning rocket science. Who is the I? Yeah? So if I am studying the rose flower and my PhD thesis is based on my study of the rose flower, there are 2 points of reference. One is the rose flower and one is the I. My entire experience, learning experience, is relative to my experience. But one point of reference, which is the I don't even know what it stands for. When you use the word I, which is the most commonly used word in our life, what does I stand for? Does it stand for mind? Does it stand for body? Does it stand for a combination of mind and body? What does it stand for? The education system does not answer this question at any point of time, and that is why we have a restless generation. No matter what your degrees, no matter what your bank balance, no matter how many awards you got, until the I is hanging in the air, you will remain eternally restless. That is a scientific process. And for those of you who don't believe me, please Google and read the last letter of Steve Jobs. You can Google it right now as I speak. The last letter of Steve Jobs. He had achieved all the success in the corporate world that anybody can dream of. He had all the wealth in the world. He had all the fame and glory. But please read his last letter. And the last letter of Steve Jobs, I'll just sum it up in 2 lines. He has written a long letter. Please read it. You'll find out for yourself. I'll sum it up in 2 lines. He says, the world looks at me as an epitome of success. The world looks at me as a great man. But I'm sorry, don't lead the life that I have led. He was suffering from pancreatic cancer and he was on a hospital bed. The last book on his iPad was Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramhansa Yogananda. Yeah? This is all documented facts, not Baba Vivek Shetty giving you some extraordinary gyan. Alright? This is well documented if you read it. So my humble request and attempt through this panel discussion is, please answer the fundamental question of who is the I. All the chaos that you see on the planet is the chaos in the human mind. When a terrorist decides to plant a bomb, he first makes a plan in his mind. When a scientist sends a missile to space, he first makes a plan in his mind. All the beautiful things and all the ugly things that happen in our world, in our human world, first happen in the human mind. And until you address this fundamental space, until you answer the question of who is the I, this eternal circus, this eternal harakiri will go on forever. We can do endless debates and discussions and panel discussions and various things in English, as we say, till the cows come home. Yeah? But there will be no transformation. There will be minor changes here and there, plus or minus 10 or 20%. But there is no transformation. So I would look forward to a new education policy which would address transformation. Thank you so much for listening to me so patiently.
Thank you, Mr. Vivek Shetty. So the last question? Okay. So we have a time constraint. Thank you so much to all the panelists. Our readers are really benefited with your knowledge, with your vision, with your wisdom, and we would love to continue this session, but there is a time constraint, so we will have to wind it off now. Thank you so much to all of you. Thank you.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आप सभी का। थोड़े समय और दूसरों के लिए जी सके, इस प्रक्रिया में एक इंसान बनाने की प्रक्रिया चलती है जो हमारे शिक्षाविद और विद्वान करते हैं। ये बहुत बड़ा योगदान है। ये उसी तरह का योगदान है जैसे सूर्य पूरे धरती पर उजाला फैलाता है, हमारे शिक्षक हमारे युवाओं के मन में उजाला फैलाते हैं और देश के
Probably enhances football value a little bit.
Because 8 is my favorite too.
Oh, great. We'll connect for sure. It was an absolute pleasure meeting
Absolutely.
you. आपके राज में. I see you on television all the time. And I keep telling my friends, they're very proud of us.
This is Dr. R. Chandran, Director of our Management Institute.
नारवेकर जी, एक फोटो दे।
Campus up for
आप जब बोलेंगे तभी।
I'm going to invite you to management.
Once again, hold on, once again. जी।
नहीं करेंगे, इनका काम है बहुत.
I'll wait for your invite.
Yes, sir, you have to come.